Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. I've been having a fired up conversation. You are fired up with Guy Finley. Are you feeling fired up, Guy?
I pretty much always feel this way,
Really?
CJ.
You have like this kind of
But
calm persona, and now you're and like when you're in it, you're just like, wow.
it's if you've been places and you've seen things and somebody asks you about it and they love the ocean or the mountains or wildlife, and then it's effortless to talk about what you love.
Hmm, beautiful. Okay, so what we were talking about last time is that um, COVID is in this way that we don't see it as in fact a gift to one lean into some of the things like yeah we say that we believe in the divine, but do we trust that the good divine will guide us? Do we trust that we'll be okay? And can we transcend some of the anxiety, worry, fear that comes up and be in a state of presence so that we could be led to some different way of seeing things? And so you've
Yeah,
been talking to people both on Wednesdays at 7 in the evening and Sundays at 9:30 in the morning. They've been bringing to you issues of, I'm worried about my job, and when, or could be the other things that I'm hearing very commonly are social things. People are stuck in their home with their quote unquote loved ones that they may not be feeling very loving towards.
yeah.
I've
We
lived
need a little more time together, sweetheart.
exactly like you again, this day again, all over again. Okay, and then they have, kids, but the ones that I feel the most heartfelt um, challenge are people who have to work full time. Two parents have to work full time, have two kids that are running a house that they have to homeschool. So you have all these different kind of scenarios. In the last segment, we were talking about people who are having financial troubles. And so when you've been working with some of the people who ask in Q&A these kinds of questions, what are some transcendent thoughts, like when they go into that place of stillness? Um, I think you talk about like I am the child of the vine. I'm going to give everything that I'm needed. What are some other kind of things that you've heard that have touched you and like, wow, that's really yeah, that's a transcendent, beautiful thought and a completely different way of looking at financial hardship, loneliness, frustration with other.
I just want to clarify something.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating that a person sit and say to themselves, affirm, I'm a child of the gods, of God. Everything's going to be great. Affirmations I have found over 50 years of teaching are ways in which we are trying to convince ourselves that everything's okay.
Hmm.
And I'm not advocating convincing yourself it's okay. What I'm suggesting is that you can live from a part of your own consciousness that already knows it's okay. And that's quite different because one involves resistance, the other is a realization.
Hmm.
And that's the real touchstone here. Not
Hmm.
resistance, not affirmation, but realization that resistance and affirmation aren't necessary,
Hmm.
which is quite different, isn't it?
Hmm.
If we could see it. So that, an eagle doesn't fly through the sky and go, I am an eagle. I am flying through the sky. I am free. It is its nature
Hmm.
to be and to do what it does. It is our nature, our true nature, to be, as the old metaphor goes, throw a bucket of black paint into the sky.
Hmm.
Tell me what it does to the sky. It doesn't touch it. It just passes through it, falls to the ground. You and I have an order of being, a level of consciousness through which everything is passing, through which everything can be seen and understood without being captured by its appearance.
Mm.
Christ said, in the world, but not of it.
Mm-hmm.
That is this awareness that allows us to meet moments in life without being captured by them. In our last segment, we said, do what is in your power, refuse to do what is not. It isn't in my power to change the work condition, but it is in my power, if I must do something, to do what I can without taking thought about, well, I make $40 an hour as a this or a that, and now I can't go to work. But I know I can go to work and make $18 an hour someplace, so I'll go do whatever I have to do in order to ensure that I'm able to take care of my family and myself. Without image, without measuring what this means to me and who I've been and what my plans are, because all that's, I almost said a bad word, because all of that's nonsense that belongs to an image that begins by painting that which I can't do and will never work. So I'm not a free human being to respond to what the moment is asking me to respond to. Next, equally important, let's everybody take a deep breath. Because people get angry. I said like you said, I live stream talks twice a week. On Sunday, yesterday, I started the talk by saying something that I knew would upset at least 100 of the people that were with me. Do you know what every true master has ever said is the last thing, the one thing that we are attached to most and less likely to give up until the very end? If you can answer this, I'm going to send you a box of chocolates. Time's up. You ready, CJ?
Yes. Thought?
Nope.
What?
The last attachment, our suffering.
Oh. Yeah.
Last thing we want to give up. But we'll say, no, that's not true. I've been trying to resolve this argument I had with my father for 30 years. My mother abused me. I want to get over that. And we will run through all of the iteration of thought that sits in judgment of ourselves or others, telling us that the way of this suffering is to change. We cannot change the condition because the real source of that suffering is in a consciousness that's asleep to itself. Awaken the consciousness, change the condition. The condition doesn't create consciousness. Consciousness expresses and explains conditions. Now, you say COVID is something that has come along. It is the teacher of the moment, the global teacher. Very rare do we get global teachings. World War, the Korean War, these wars have been global teachers. Pandemics, global teachings. God help us because we never get the lesson. The starvation going on around the world that has been going on for so long that it's not even a lesson to us anymore. Nevertheless, it doesn't abate the suffering because we ignore it. You, CJ, be advocate for the people who've joined us. How many times in your life, CJ, did a lesson come along and, like you and the flies, bat it away? Get rid of the fly. Get rid of what's bugging me. Because if I can get rid of what's bugging me, I won't be bugged anymore. But you can't get rid of the flies, as you well know. They keep coming back. And each time they come back, they create the same resistance to their appearance. Now let's call the fly the lesson. Somebody disrespected me. The waiter took 20 minutes. I saw them serve someone food who came in after I came into the restaurant. What's more irritating than that? What am I, chopped liver? Yes or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been
over
there.
and over and over again, a certain lesson comes to us. My sister is such an idiot. My wife Doesn't she get it? When is she going to stop doing those things to me? then one day, then one day, I'm sitting there, having refused the pain all those times, and I get it. Then one day I see, you know what? I was talking to my sister, and for the first time in my life, I saw she's in as much pain as I am.
Mm.
I never saw the pain on her face. How did I not see the pain on her face for 40 years?
Mm.
How did I not understand that the reason that person tries to bully me at work is because they're afraid? How could I have not understood that? Well, because I finally saw it. I'm pushing people around because I'm afraid. Attack before you need to defend yourself.
Mm.
Passive aggressive comments are.
Mm.
In a heartbeat, by the grace of God, I have an insight. And the insight is into my consciousness that was blind to itself until that moment.
Mm.
And in that split second, 10, 15, 20 years of pain are reconciled.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's all come home. It was in me. I just didn't see it.
Mm.
Now, what if I can take the idea that it took that long to get the lesson and start to recognize regarding my individual consciousness and me as an individual instrument of the consciousness of the soul, to recognize that these moments that come along that I don't want, they are bringing me something that is there for me to use to wake up, so as to reconcile this conflict between myself and the revelation of the moment, between the action of what is divine by nature. It comes out of nowhere. It does all this stuff. Can I be an instrument of that will for the good of myself and everyone else? Or do I have to wait another 22 years to see that's what was going on?
Mm.
Because if I can, this is the beauty of this teaching.
Mm.
I can begin to shorten the distance between the revelation and the realization.
Mm.
Here it was, took 20 years to realize my sister's is at least as much pain as I am.
Mm.
That's why she's so irritating. But I didn't know that she was in pain and that her irritation set off my irritation, and they were like that. And then one day, compassion,
Mm.
forgiveness, the lesson gets home.
Mm.
It must be something I see in myself.
Mm.
I have a phrase. You might want to write this down, listeners. Regarding any moment we don't want. Powerful stuff. Here it is. Thank you. I didn't know that about myself.
I love that. Yep.
You want to change your consciousness, the whole of the world accordingly. Use every single moment, regardless what your mind first paints it as being, to see it as the possibility of a new revelation of something in your consciousness you were unaware of before.
Mm.
And healing. That's the integration. That's the end of conflict, to whatever extent it's true, between myself and my sister, between myself and the system of insanity that's running this world, that I believe I know alone what should be. Heal thyself.
Mm. Lovely. For me, my what's happening to me is I recognize that I go into abject terror and fear. And it's not, this thing has just been a pressure cooker. And when that happens, I just like, boop, I want to go and do a spiritual bypass. And so I've watched myself go boop, boop, and like, wow, look at you
Yeah.
just running away. And now just instead of bypassing the pain, actually feeling the pain. And guess what? It hurts. And if you can feel the pain and acknowledge it, and if you do it enough times and you go into awareness, knowing that there's something in this pain for you, you recognize that this pain is around all that. This is the nature of life itself. So once you accept, yes, this pain is in the nature of life itself, and by running away and trying to
Yes,
escape it,
yes, yes,
CJ, that's not going to get you into any.
yes,
You're just in denial of the existence of the world itself, and that
yes.
has been one of my key learnings, which is huge, right? Wouldn't have
Uh,
gotten it in a million years if not been through this boiling pot.
I love this because what you're describing is what this consciousness, not I, it's not CJ who does that.
Yeah.
It's just that level of consciousness. CJ, true nature, is discovering at last that just as there is an infinite capacity for beauty that grows deeper, stronger, truer, wider, so is there an infinite capacity to complete pain.
And ugliness and abject
All,
terror.
all of all of it, all of it. An infinite capacity to be the instrument of the marriage between that which reveals this content and the content it reveals, because then the pain is completed.
Mm-hmm.
We started our talk like this.
Mm.
The pain goes full circle. It is completed only when at last I understand that the problem I have with it is that my will, my insistence, my demand, the images I have of myself, they are relentless in ensuring that that pain never is revealed as being part of the completion of myself that it is, because
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that comes into creation incomplete.
Mm.
It requires everything else to complete itself. Every pain that comes into existence requires the whole of existence to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And we, made in the image of God, are alone created to be able to allow such a transfiguration to
Mm.
take place.
It takes courage, though. It takes incredible
You
courage.
could say it takes courage, but you know it's not courage. At some point, I just can't do it anymore. That's not courage. I'm so sick and tired of running, of it, talking to myself, explaining myself, justifying why I am the way I am. I've tasted it so many times I can't put it in my mouth again.
Mm.
And then when you don't put the old CJ in your mouth, the bread of life appears in it by itself. And then
Mm.
you go, oh, God, why did it take that long to see that that this thing was always a gift that I kept refusing because I was sure I know what a gift is. We don't
Mm.
know what a gift is. Our human nature cannot know in itself, from itself, a divine gift from a pebble between a pearl. But as
Mm.
we stop giving ourselves what we believe the gifts are, lo and behold, we discover we've been gifted with everything we will ever need to complete every moment we're ever given.
Mm.
And therein is peace.
Love it. We've been talking to Guy Finley, and he has been sharing some of the content of which he has been talking about in his talks that happen both on Wednesday at 7 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 9:30. These are all Pacific Coast Standard Time. And he'll
Right.
be teaching on June 19th through 22nd, an online
But
retreat.
let me say this: the free online talks are at those times you described, but they're all archived, so
Okay.
that if you go to guyfinley.org/letgo and just register, you can see any of the talks anytime you want. So you don't have to be in that time zone to be able to share in the talk. So that's important to understand.
Thank you.
Guyfinley.org is the website. You can wander through my website for 4 years and never touch the site. There's so much stuff. And then, of course, all of the social nets, Instagram, Twitter, blah, blah, blah.
You're
I've
there.
become active in that. Yeah, I'm there. So come find out more. Look at what CJ and I have been talking about. We've had some good stuff here today, CJ, you and I. Let's everybody keep it up. Work at this.
Thank you, Guy, so much for being on the program. I always love your energy and passion. Thank you so much.
I like seeing you too, CJ.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.